Hi, I'm Willy Bearden. Welcome to Dialogue. Today, it is my great pleasure to be talking to a man who has had so much to do with how our city and our county and really our society has been formed over the last 50 years, really. You know his name, but you probably don't know as much as you're going to know. His name is Bill Morris. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for being here. It's always been a goal of mine to get you on TV and for us to have kind of a wide-ranging conversation. So thank you so much for doing this.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, let's jump right in. I want you to, let's talk about what Northeast Mississippi was like in the 1930s when you were coming up.
Well, I have to tell you, not just Northeast Mississippi, almost the entire South. It was during the Depression, and places like Itawamba County, where I grew up, North Mississippi, right on the Alabama line, there's only a couple of ways you can make money. You can maybe grow some cattle a little bit, but mainly you would work in cotton fields, growing crops. And then as the 30s started, which was only a few years after it was discovered that there was availability for a market for timber. And then that was on those jobs. In the WPA, there was no, housing almost non-existent, except the sharecroppers' houses in that time. A few small houses around the county court house. But anyway, there was a very small percentage of people who had a business income, like a grocery store or what have you, or ran the gin, or the ice house, or what they call cafes, hamburger joints, or whatever. But everybody else, like my family, you hope to get a job at the lumber yard. You hope to be able to sharecrop. You hope to be able to work in a shirt factory and building, where they were making blue jeans and overalls and that kind of thing. And then people had jobs in the stores and what have you, but there was no money. And people like my father had a small 40-acre farm at one time, just about the time I was born, 1932, and he had to borrow the money, of course, to make the crop.
Right.
The crop came in, and there was no market, and there was no money. Of course, we grew some food and that kind of thing, but so the farm went to the banker, and there was no recourse. I mean, you pay or you leave. And that was the case for many hundreds and maybe thousands of small farms throughout the South. Elvis Presley, for example, his mother and father, before he was born, and I was born about the same time. He was born in 35, and I was born in 32. Had a little farm right next to where down the street from where my mother and father were. But he got in trouble trying to make a transaction, honest transaction, but it turned out his deal fell through, and because of a $100 bad check, he went to prison. No recourse. That could never happen today.
Right.
But there, it was tough times. Everything we had was either on credit, or if you had a job, if you didn't have a job, you couldn't get credit.
Right.
And the clothes that you wore were very minimal. You got a pair of shoes a year, but sometimes those clothes were torn and kind of tattered by the time you went to the end of the school year.
Right.
But it was a tough time. It's hard to explain. Nobody can really believe that there was no welfare system. There were no doctors, clinics in the entire county. But you did have one newspaper, the Itawamba County Times, where you had editors of that paper and people who read that paper who provided a very good window of the happenings in the community, which was what really attracted me to it, was to get a job first, but secondly, what I saw those people doing, they were trying to make people feel proud that they lived there, and try to encourage them.
Right.
The congressman from that district, Congressman Rankin, every election, every 2 years, he would come to Fulton, and he would have one thing on his mind: to convince people that they were going to have the Tongue-Big River widened, and there's going to be the opportunity to ship the timber and the cotton and all the crops down the river to Mobile, Alabama, and but that went on 40 years before it, or more before it started to happen.
Yeah.
But that county was not much different than many others. Coal miners were getting the coal. You go like 50 miles away, but there was no coal in Memphis County.
Right.
But so you had coal, you had timber, you had crops, and you had a little growing of hogs and cows and trading horses and mules, that type of thing.
Right.
But that was just about it, and you working, and there were no factories except for clothing manufacture, and you made so little. Or you could be a school bus driver, and then there was nothing that else to do all day long.
Sure.
So sometimes the husband would drive the school bus, and the wife would work in the shirt factory, or those kind of factories.
Do you think that informed how you later looked at big municipal problems and challenges?
What it formed was a total commitment for humanity, and that could take on many different forms. One, there's so many people who are doing without and needed help. I was introduced to the welfare system many years later, which I never participated in that, but I was able to get a job. I had a strong work ethics, and I'd do whatever was necessary to work. I worked for the newspaper. I worked milking cows, and I worked in picking cotton. I worked in logging, getting logs out of the woods and bringing them to the lumber yard. I did everything that you can possibly think of. I had paper route in Mobile, Alabama, and worked at curb market when I was, in the 5th and 6th grades.
Right.
So anyway, that work ethic was an energizer for me, physically and intellectually.
Right.
I saw that if you put enough into something, you get something back. And I did also learn one other thing that's so terribly important. You don't really need to take what you ain't earned.
Yeah.
And there's so much pride in that. And I saw people taking handouts that could work.
Sure.
I never did have a lot of respect for people who had the opportunity, and it was easier for them to take a handout instead of a hand up.
Right.
So that did have some impact on what I did and thought when I came to Memphis after I got out of the Army. And was married by the time, going to the University of Memphis, Memphis State College, that I worked through college.
Right.
There were no options. I didn't have any student loan opportunities. So you either worked, paid your tuition, or you didn't go. And so at Memphis State, for example, I became the business manager of the school paper.
Okay.
Tiger Rag. And they gave me the opportunity to go out on the street and to sell advertising for that paper.
Okay.
And in selling that advertising, they paid me a commission.
Okay.
And I, in return, took that commission, I put it on and paid my tuition bill. And that works. The free enterprise system really works.
Sure, yeah.
The harder you work, the more those monies come in. And when you get more that's coming in than you're going to spend,
right.
that's successful business, right?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Were you always looking for opportunity, though? I mean, did you just kind of know, I got to keep pushing?
It's the strangest thing. Opportunities just kind of came. What I found out later was that most every employer in town was looking for somebody who really wanted to work and was capable of doing something. And I went to work for SC Tubing Company, which is where, as a printer, I thought I knew something, but by the time I come to Memphis, I took a job there, and they put me on a fast track. And what they found by having me tested, they thought I could do something besides run a printing press, and it gave me an opportunity to sell. Taught me cost accounting. Taught me how to do the business side, through the cost accounting process. And it was the greatest experience you could possibly have. But like the Itawamba County Times, where I grew up, I had mentors who had a special interest in me.
Right.
Not because I was anybody, but because I was somebody that was trying to do that. I never went home at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I didn't take a break. We didn't know about breaks. We knew about doing a job,
Right.
and doing it well, and for people who I worked for to appreciate it.
Sure.
And that's always been the case. I never found that to be different anywhere. Whether I'm doing the printing, whether I'm working in a certificate company, whether I'm running for sheriff, I've found that people in the community appreciated somebody who stood for something that they could believe in.
Right.
And consequently, being sheriff, and I was good at being sheriff because I watched in that hometown of Mississippi, I watched abuse of people. I saw an abuse of minorities. I was a minority in that I was on the poor side of everything.
Right.
And the black people in that community were on the poor side of everything. Consequently, we were treated very similarly. And my family was not a part of the society part, obviously. We were uneducated and just hardworking people. So by the time I experienced watching people in my own family being abused by law enforcement, I never could understand that.
Sure.
Why is it necessary to abuse people? So when I ran for sheriff, I had, without having law enforcement experience, I talked about those things.
Yeah.
I talked about fairness, black or white. We didn't have the privilege of identifying which laws go for black and which go for white. Laws govern all of us.
Right.
And we also learned through the Junior Chamber of Commerce that government should be of laws, not of people, because people are different.
Right.
Laws stand pat.
Right.
And if you don't like them, change them, but it's what's good for one person is good for everybody as far as the law is concerned. And in law enforcement, it was a tough task changing the mindset of people in law enforcement. As a 31-year-old, no law enforcement.
You were 31 years old.
Right.
You won for sheriff.
And
Wow.
And these good old boy guys been around law enforcement. You know, you can just imagine.
Sure.
Tough guys.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, here's this cat comes in here with a tie on, and they didn't have any idea where I came from.
Right.
If they had, they probably would have treated it differently. But it took me not very long to get their attention about what I expected.
Right.
And because it was what people expected.
Sure.
Honesty, and to be treated fairly, and to expect to live on the salaries that they were paid. And you know what I found is the first day I went in office? We had black deputies and they had white deputies. White deputies could arrest people of all colors. Black deputies could only arrest black people.
Really?
So the Civil Rights had passed that year. So I read the act, so I knew what I was supposed to do.
Sure,
you know, but it's just a matter of treating everybody equally, men and women and blacks and whites or whomever. But everybody that's citizen, should be treated the same.
Sure.
I practice that every day of my life, whether in office or out of office.
Right. What kind of pushback did you get from because I mean, you got to admit these were pretty progressive attitudes back then in 1964, 65.
Right.
I mean, would people kind of take you aside and go, hey, young man, do you know what you're doing?
Two things happened. You talk about pushback.
Yeah.
What I said in the presence of Dr. Paul Carter, minister of First Baptist Church. When I thought about running, he asked the people that were friends of mine in the church, we sat down, we talked. Why do you want to run for sheriff? I told him why. What do you think you can do if you're a sheriff? And I itemized all those things. And so finally he said, if you promise me that you will do all those things, I will do everything in my power to help you get elected. But when you do, I'm going to hold you accountable. And so I took that seriously. And so I knew what I had promised. By the time I didn't expect to get elected, I might tell you that. I was running to make a statement about what I was against. I was against the way the sheriff's department was being run. I was against the favoritism. I was against the good old boy network, where everybody's treated different. As all those things added up to being a terrible thing for our society. So I ran, I won, and I was surprised at that, but two things happened. First month, one, we had a deputy that murdered a woman out in the Raleigh area. And so we made that arrest, and it made some headlines and so forth. But it was the second thing was we had arrested a car on Highland and Poplar, and it was a new Buick Riviera that the guy was driving, and he had loaded his trunk loaded in moonshine liquor.
Oh.
And it turns out the car belonged to a friend of a friend, and they made a quick appeal to me to let him go.
Yeah.
I said, you know, you don't mind throwing my integrity under the bus, do you?
Yeah, right.
If you ask me to let him go. I said, let me tell you what's going to happen. First of all, I'm going to by law, I'm going to confiscate that new Riviera, and he will never get it again.
Yeah.
2, he's going to prison because he's violated the law I'm expected to enforce.
Right.
Now, I appreciate your friendship, but this is what's going to happen, okay? And that word got around.
Yeah.
I never fixed, in 3 terms of sheriff, I never fixed 1 ticket.
Wow.
For anybody, because if they couldn't pay the ticket, I'd try to help raise the money, and I'd tell them
Sure,
this.
yeah.
Basically, they wanted me to give up my integrity for a $20 parking, whatever.
Yeah, right.
For them to have, they got plenty of money, you know.
Yeah.
So I said, why would you do that?
Yeah.
So they stopped calling on me to fix tickets. And then, after all of that, we put black people and white people together in the same squad car.
Okay.
And I selected the roughest, toughest redneck deputies we had.
Yeah.
I sat down and we said, we talked about it. Let's make some history.
Yeah.
Let's show that we can treat everybody the same.
Right.
That's number 1. Let's get to know each other.
Yeah.
And getting to know each other. I mean, black people have kids, white people have kids. They don't know that they got all that difference. So get to know people. And within a month, we integrated those squad cars, and they began to be buddies. For the first time, some of those deputies, black deputies, were going into areas of Memphis that they were not allowed to go previously.
Right.
That was embarrassing. You say, how could they feel good about that?
Sure.
So one of those deputies is still around. His name is Bill Hughes. And he and Elizabeth, we became close, dear friends over 55 years ago, and still are. And he comes to my house, and we visit. We do things all together. And he went up through the ranks and became the chief of the penal farm and a chief of the sheriff's department, and it just was great success.
Right.
Because he was given an opportunity.
Right.
And so I think most people just want an opportunity.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
equal opportunity.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
What are the things that people don't know about Big Sheriff? I mean, you know, you gotta say sheriff, and it's like, okay, it's Matt Dillon. You know, what are the things that you had to learn by being the sheriff?
Not much more than I had to learn to be a man.
Really?
And to be a good citizen. To be a friend to people you work with.
Right.
To be honest with people. And to have one standard. And I had, just after I was elected, one of the deputies who had been put there through politics, I instructed to do a specific job. It's in the book I wrote. Not to embarrass anybody, but to make the point to all the departments. He said to me, after he was given instructions by me to do something, he said, you know, Sheriff, I might have to think about that. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, I think I need to go see Mr. Barrett. You know, everybody knows who Mr. Paul Barrett was. What he didn't know, what Mr. Paul Barrett had become a friend of mine during the campaign through Mr. Abe Plow, and he had really strong feelings about what I said I would do if I was the sheriff. And so he said, I need to talk to him. I said, I'll tell you what you do. Won't you, this afternoon, it's early, why don't you go ahead and talk to him this afternoon? That might give him enough time to have you a place to work tomorrow, because you do not work here anymore.
Oh, really?
And so that was a little bit of a bad break for him, but it was also a good break for me, given the opportunity to say, I'm running the sheriff's department,
Right.
good, bad, or indifferent. I'll face the public when times come, but I'm not going to let the employees make a determination that they're going to run this department when it's my responsibility.
Right.
And so the next election, after 2 years, two things happened. At the end of the first year, I did what we call a report card. 750 people showed up to hear the report card out at Rainbow on Lamar. And the minister came, all elected officials came, people who were against me came.
Right.
And we came and we gave this report. This is what I said I would do, this is what I've done. This is what I said, this is what I've done. Now, if you have issues or questions about any of this, please ask it now in front of these 700 people, because you hold me accountable, okay?
Sure.
Well, the next year, next spring, came time to run for sheriff again. I had no opposition.
Really?
Never had it, first time ever that there was no opposition. This 31-year-old has done what he said he would do.
Yeah.
And people came together. We were not partisan. We were not Republicans. We were not Democrats. We were a law enforcement officer that's there to enforce the laws for all people. And so then I did the third time and that type of thing. So it was, to me, it was an easy script to follow. And it just followed where your heart tells you, your mind tells you, is it right?
Right.
Is it fair? Is it legal?
Wow. That's that bears repeating many, many times every day. I say that is about as simple as it gets, right?
It is for me.
Yeah. Well, that's a wonderful thing. Can you look back on your life and think about like an event or a person that really changed your life, or have you had many of those things?
I'm the luckiest person you have ever met. From day one, the people I worked for at the Etowah County Times, I had a school teacher. Let me tell you about my first school teacher. My family was so poor we had nothing, you know. But we did have a biscuit to bake piece of meat and take it and put it in a sack, or maybe some peanut butter, to lunch, first day.
Yeah.
I'm 7 years old, whatever. So I go and I'm in a classroom with people different ages. Little small country school.
Yeah, many grades.
Oh, yeah, many grades. And when you go out to the classroom, everybody brought their little sack and sat around the room, you know. And I'm nervous as I can be, because I had a terrible inferiority complex all during that period of time. But first day, teacher comes lunchtime. Okay. So everybody gets their bags to go outside. I don't have a bag. I knew I brought that bag. And I said to my teacher, somebody done stole my lunch. And with that, she knocked me crumb flat across the room. She knocked the daylights out of me. Whoa. I said, what is the deal here? To myself, somebody had my lunch. So anyway, she put me in the corner where everybody else went outside and ate in the classroom by myself. So she came back from lunch early. She brought me this real nice lunch. She said, and explained to me why I shouldn't say somebody stole my lunch when maybe a dog came in and got it, or maybe somebody made a mistake and all. And it was a good lesson. But she handed me this bag of food, and I said, I don't want it. Now let me tell you where that's going. Then, in the rest of my life, I never wanted anybody to do anything like that, a handout for me, that I didn't deserve and had coming. And so, but anyhow, I didn't eat that lunch.
Wow.
But about 15 years later, not even that far, I was in junior college, and she was still around. And she's one of those ladies that you just imagine she's driving around, had to own a car on campus, and none of us, in my class, none of us had cars, maybe one or two, but anyway. Somebody got into trouble in a car wreck, and I'm sitting out in front of where we had lunch, or dinner rather, and she came in and tapped me on. She wouldn't let her brother, nobody could drive her car. She tapped me on, she said, Noel, William Noel Marshall. She said, "Why don't you take my car and go down there and see what's going on?" I said,
Really?
the highest point of honor you could possibly have is her to take her old car and crank it. I don't know if she even knew I could drive a car, but I was in college, I'm sure she did. But I always remember her name was Miss Rita Brown. And Miss Rita Brown was from Hughes, Arkansas.
Okay.
And came there to teach. And she was probably the one that impressed me most in terms of, but we get outside. Okay, take a little time on this, but early that morning, so we go outside and she lines us all up, first grade. There's a big pole flag for American flag, just been cut, flag on top.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And then she says, we're going to sing, and we're going to sing, "Jesus loves me, yes I know, for the Bible tells me so."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't go to church. My family didn't go to church.
Oh, really?
So I was introduced to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I knew about it a little bit from just being hearsay, but my family was not church-oriented. We were out in the country, you know, that type of thing. Church was not a part of our orientation. Then she said, "I want you to take this little book. It's the book of John, little red book, nothing but just one book." And she said, "I want you to memorize this before the year's over. Read it and memorize it as much as possible. So if you want to compete in memorizing, that would be good for the class, you see." So every other day I'd go in and I'd recite from memory verses of the Bible. Well, at the end of all of that, she says that the nation was founded on the basis of our Creator, God.
Right.
That was part of that was liberty and justice for all. There are no exceptions in that. It doesn't spell out in all that. And she said, godliness is important, but so is cleanliness. And most of us didn't have indoor plumbing.
Right.
And our clothes, you know, but it made it difficult to bathe every day.
Sure, yeah.
And so she said, I had never had a toothbrush. And so she gave me a little small toothbrush and a little small tube of Ipana toothpaste.
Really?
Just about 4 squirts in that little bit tube. But that was the most impressive thing that I can remember. And that started me on my trail of life, looking at what is positive. Positive is being clean. Positive is in the pledge of the flag. Positive was learning about Jesus Christ and what that's all stood, if you chose to. Nobody ever said there were any options, you know. So I took the Bible at full value.
Right.
And so then I learned competing in class, learning to spell, learning to read, doing all this kind of thing. So I learned that education had to be so vital. And I saw the difference between people who had an education and who didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd say most people in that kind of then barely finished high school if they did at all. My parents never went to high school a day.
Right.
And neither did their families, as far as I can remember. But at the same time, they were not alone in that. People were busy. They were working. They were trying to eke out a living
hard pressed
on 20 acres, 10 acres or whatever. And the WPA, and I saw my dad walk 3 or 4 miles to work on the Tombigbee River, taking a team of mules to pull and snagging things out of the river. And he was doing it for 75 cents a day. And then he would try to get enough pennies ahead to go buy a sack of flour and what have you, and so he could bring home some food. And he would go to the store, and he would walk from that store to where we lived, about 3 miles away. Well, can you imagine anybody doing that today?
I cannot.
I think about this. I have a friend who delivers Meals on Wheels. And I go with him sometime. And we go back to the North Memphis neighborhood where I came to when I came to Memphis, where my mom and dad lived, but where I worked at that Weona 42 going to college. At Jackson and Breedlove, North Memphis, okay? Well, we make that route. And while I was working, we were on 42, trying to earn enough money to go to college and law school at night. I delivered groceries when somebody had to have a check cashed. The boss asked me to take the groceries, cash a check. He trusted me with the money. You won't believe this, but I go to some of those same houses today, and it almost comes back to with delivering Meals on Wheels. And one of the houses directly across the street from where I sat on the front steps one night and asked my wife to marry me. She was a senior in high school at Humes with Elvis and so forth. And this was 2 days after the graduation from high school. Man, I just think I'm going to let that little gal get away. I didn't have a chance for a quarter, and so I said, "We got to get this deal on." She said, "Okay." Wow.
That is so great. That's so great. Can we move on to
anywhere
becoming the county mayor? How did that come about? And because you were the first county mayor.
First full-time. Roy Nixon was the first one elected.
Right.
And when it changed form of government, he had followed me as a sheriff.
Right.
And then he left to run for part of the time was about 18 months or whatever.
Right.
And then what was happening then was the same thing was happening when I ran for sheriff. My perception of what that job should be and the image that job should be was different from what I was seeing my old friend do.
Sure.
They was all caught up in some of his people getting him in trouble. And I told this story at his funeral a few weeks ago. I spoke at his funeral, and I talked about he was a good law enforcement officer. He came from Memphis Police Department with the juvenile court, then he worked with me as my chief deputy for 6 years. He was the law enforcement mindset of me as an administrator.
Right.
And so that was a good combination. But I disagreed with the good old boy relationships of taking care of people just because they were doing the same thing you did.
Right.
I mean, if you mess up, and you pay up. You don't get a free ride.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then if you start getting a free ride, the community sees that, and they say, what the heck, Right. But anyway, I was doing business in the business world, and I was having a good time, making good money and doing all that. This job mayor didn't pay but $35,000 a year.
Really?
And I was in the real estate business and the consulting business since 1971, and this was 78. So I've been out of office. My name recognition, even to my name is going away.
Did you really? You think so?
Yeah, well, you had to come back and get a recall, knock him on the head. I was the guy that did this, that, and the other. But anyway, the irritation of what I thought that county government should be.
Right.
Open and progressive in terms of extending the boundaries of Memphis to Tennessee and the rest of the world, and to create an economic opportunity for more and more people. Right. And I don't know where that came from, but I had a sense of what we needed to do. And certainly you needed a government that was operated in the light of day. And that was the theme of my campaign, where we did business in the light of day. Dr. John Bakke.
Right.
Wonderful man. He gave birth to that thought. And Don Sundquist, who became congressman, John Elkinson, and Jim Rout, and all these people who were leaders of the Republican Party and what have you, they became a centerpiece for the strategy and the philosophy that we wanted to put on the table. And I became the spokesman for that. Right. And it was well received. Right. And of course I was elected, but there was a need to change the direction. So Skip did a really good, Roy Nixon, he did a good job of taking over and trying to create a strong form of government. Yeah. But most people say things like, well, I would vote for you, but I don't live in the county. I said, where do you live? They said, Memphis. Let me tell you, but 200 years, or however, it's 170. That
Yeah, right.
Memphis had been in Shelby County, and
Yeah.
and so I spent a lot of time explaining that to the Director of Fire and Police, Frank Holloman.
Sure.
You know, as the sheriff, for example, I said, I don't have a deputy that does not rank you highest ranking policeman.
Right.
Because we're a constitutional government.
Uh-huh.
And even today, people who run for office, I started talking about this a little earlier about knowing what they're supposed to do when they get elected.
Sure.
And they run on campaign promises. The job doesn't require them to even participate in this.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to stop school buses. I'm going to stop, you know, I'm going to do all these things.
Uh-huh.
Like they were going to make it happen. They don't understand it takes so many votes on the commission and,
Sure.
you know, that kind of, but, so I ran and had the most wonderful 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to.
Unprecedented growth, might I say, too. Just the county just took off.
Well, the reason why is that I must tell you, you know, when Martin Luther King was killed in 1968, the city just absolutely went blank.
Right.
I mean, Chamber of Commerce moved out of town, and you know, windows were boarded up.
Right.
And it seemed to me that we had a very long mourners bench. People sitting around wringing their elbows. The town's going to hell. We're going to float us right down the river.
Right.
And then Lamar Alexander was elected at the same time I was elected, and then we got together, and he came up with, and we came up with a joint mindset that was to have a jobs conference. And people like Ron Terry and the other business leaders in town came right in the middle. That's when we decided, you know, one monkey doesn't make a show.
Right.
One mayor, one county commission, one government. It takes a community coming together, the business leadership, and having an agenda. So we determined we could do lots of great things if we worked together.
Right.
We had so many assets, so we identified those assets. And the Mississippi River, Beale Street, and those opportunities. We had a great workforce, and we had a wonderful thing going on. It's called Federal Express and an airport.
Yes. Right.
And all the transportation infrastructures. And so America's Distribution Center came into being. And so we became a big warehousing and distribution area and the United States. So that spawned a lot of growth. And then Elvis Presley died in 1977. And you know, I went into office in 1978. Beale Street was struggling. John Elkin, those people, they were trying to get things going.
Right.
And we decided that we could have a really terrific attraction, tourism destination coming to Memphis, because we've got Beale Street and we got the blues. And now we add to that the dimension of Elvis Presley, who loved the city. He could have gone to Los Angeles and lived high, but he loved Memphis.
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't let the detractors from society of Memphis alter his love for what he was doing. Sure. His guys were here, you know.
Yes,
friends were here. His fumes buddies were here, and then as he died, of course, he had accomplished so much. By the way, he's been dead longer than he lived. This year, in the year 2019, and when we have an event coming up here next month, 30,000 people will sit in one room, 3,000 rather, sit in one room to hear stories, just like we talk about here now. People who were not even were born 42 years ago, traveling from around the world to come and sit in that theater at Graceland to hear stories of people who do Elvis. So I have a segment in my book, just not a big parcel, but about 20 pages, talking about who I thought he was as an individual, his contribution, which was far beyond just the music. As great as he was, he's a great performer. That's why I named the Trauma Center after him, the Elvis Presley Trauma Center, because he was such a compassionate, caring individual. I want people to know that. He was also a religious person, and he studied not only the Bible today, but ancient religions. And he was really a fast learner. Hal Wallace, who produced most of his movies, sat at the same table where I sat, and he said then, you know, I've never had an actor that was as quick a learner as Elvis Presley is.
Really?
So, you think about this kid from North Mississippi,
Yeah, right.
going to Hume High School, being acclaimed as a quick learner.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quick to learn what he wanted to learn.
Sure, yeah. That's incredible. And most people don't look beyond the entertainer when they talk about Elvis, but for somebody who had so much passion for Memphis and who always looked for the good things to put his money and his time.
Oh, yeah.
It truly is amazing. And it still amazes me that 42 years, almost 42 years after his death, that people still come. And we go to Graceland right this second and go down there, and there would be buses going in and out of there from people all over the world.
A whole new generation.
I know.
Is that amazing?
It really is. It really is. I'm so glad Elvis, and I'm so glad the Presleys came to Memphis in 1948.
So am I. And I bet the Presleys were too.
Yeah, you know it, because they were hard pressed too. Let's talk a little bit about your book and how that came about. And then we'll wrap it up.
And I could come back anytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
sure.
I'd love to.
Okay.
Anyway, I've just finished, after 2.5 years of working on it, a book called Bill Marsh, But the reason that book was written, my wife had a stroke in 1997. And so I stopped politics, quit doing anything outside. I dedicated 24 hours a day for 19 years.
Yeah.
To the gal that was the mother of my children and my sweetheart for life. And it was the most gratifying, rewarding time that any human being could have if they can take their love and affection and convert it into a quality of life of somebody who didn't have much quality. Right. But anyhow, during that period of time, we had grandchildren, and we had great-grandchildren. And out of the city and so forth, we were sort of isolated. And then I participated in many things in Memphis, even during that period of time, University of Memphis, the athletic department, and all that goes with that. But what I found, that after a while, Willie Harrington was the mayor of the city of Memphis. And one day, and I'm in the mayor's office, whenever 1981, whenever he was elected, he came in one day and had a newspaper in his hand. And he said, "This is you." I said, "Yeah, that's me." I didn't know you were sheriff.
Really?
I'm talking about the mayor of the city of Memphis in 1981. Did not know I was that guy. He made me somebody else. And I thought, that's a strange deal.
Yeah.
And then I talked to my friend Jim Gilliland, and we'd been friends a long, long time. Many of them people didn't remember the days that I was the sheriff. I was that guy.
Yeah.
And so then many people didn't have any clue in Memphis about James Earl Ray and Martin Luther King and why the assassination and how it was handled, and all the nuances of gaining information to make sure that James Earl Ray was there when time came for the judge to make a decision on the future of his life.
Right.
And so I said, we need to tell that story. We need to tell the story of the civil rights. And we need to tell the story of why it's important to elect people that will do what you think they'll do. Education. You need to tell them the story about transitioning from the private sector to the public sector, and why you make those commitments to take less to do more.
Right.
You'll go out and make money, but you need to take less to be in public service. Community service and public service, to me, is my chosen lifestyle. And so I want to say that. And then the opportunities I had to go around to working on a committee in the White House with Ronald Reagan. That's a long ways from Fulton, Mississippi.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting there in a photograph with him, and he invited me to be a part of the Economic Development Council for the nation.
Wow.
How much more rewarding can you get?
Yeah.
And a wonderful family.
Yeah.
4 children, 9 grandchildren, 11 great-grandchildren, a great church life and what have you. It wasn't about money.
Yeah.
And so I had in there about my life has been a rich life without riches.
Well put. That is well put. One more question.
All right.
How do you want to be remembered?
Just that. I would prefer to think that I would like to be known as a person who gave instead of taking,
Yeah.
but who received without asking, who lived a good life without the riches. And hopefully no one will say I ever offended them on a personal basis.
Yeah. That's strong, and I think you've done that. I think you have accomplished that.
I'm sure there are people. That's obviously in politics, you're going to walk on the wrong side of the street from a lot of people.
Yeah.
But if you stand for anything,
Sure.
you achieve nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That is
Thank you,
true.
sir.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank our audience for hanging in here with us. This is a fascinating conversation. I hope to continue this conversation at some point and maybe do another segment here. So we hope you'll join us then. I want to thank Bill Morris for being the person he is and the person he became from that tough start in Itawamba County, but he rose to the heights of politics and really of integrity. I mean, your integrity speaks for itself. So thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
You're watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.
Stuck on the railroad crossing? Get out of your vehicle. For help, call the number on the blue and white emergency notification system sign at the crossing. Give them the crossing number to alert train traffic. Remember, find the blue and white to save your life.
When you ask a Memphian what's unique about our community, they will mention barbecue, Elvis, a bustling downtown, the Tigers, and the Grizzlies. Seldom do they mention alchemy. The dictionary says that alchemy is the process of taking a base material and turning it into something of great value. For centuries, humanity has tried to do this without success. In Memphis, we do it every day. How? For generations, our community has taken unwanted reading material and donated it to our Memphis Public Library system. With these 250,000 pieces, as well as the regular cleaning of the library inventory, Memphis Friends of the Library annually translate that into $400,000 a year of positive impact on our library system budget. How? Let's see how a book travels through this amazing process of turning lead into gold.
Dave, we've got all these books and magazines. What are we going to do?
You know, I've got an idea. The Friends of the Library can use our books and magazines. I'm going to take them over there today.
so much.
Friends volunteers begin the piece-by-piece rough sort. Materials that are damaged, mildewed, or have no monetizable value are put in green tubs and recycled by a local company. Materials with barcodes or ID numbers are separated and scanned with handheld devices which contain an Amazon database showing current online value and popularity. That will determine where each piece will allow friends to maximize the ability to turn it into gold. Many paperbacks in popular categories like general fiction, mystery, science fiction, and children are separated here. Older but readable materials are distributed to dozens of local nonprofit agencies, such as hospitals, community centers, jails, churches, little free libraries, and schools. A major recipient of 1,000 pieces a month goes to MATA to fill bookcases in each bus terminal, available to bus riders to take home free. Easily 25 to 30,000 pieces are given away each year. Then materials which are determined not to be valuable are shipped to a national concern, which pays us by the pound for material they can sell or give away. In 2017, through our local recycler and this national company, we were able to keep 117 tons of stuff out of Memphis landfills and make some money doing it. Alchemy. Most remaining materials are prized and shelved by other dedicated volunteers. Our next source of money comes from our biannual book sales in May and October, where we display over 20,000 pieces, books, LP records, sheet music, audiobooks, VHS tapes, as well as CDs and more. And nothing is priced over $2. A preview sale is held Thursday evening for Friends members, and on Friday and Saturday, the general public can take advantage of these great deals. All the profits flowing to our library system are from community donations, plus annual adjustments of library inventory. Alchemy. The next stop for making money for our library system is Second Edition's used bookstore, which is located in the lobby of the Benjamin L. Hook Central Library at 3030 Poplar Avenue. The 20,000-piece inventory makes it the largest used bookstore in the Mid-South. Most materials are $4 or less, covering all categories. Shelves are refreshed several times daily. Special weekly sales are held 2 to 3 times each month. Alchemy. Our next moneymaker is identifying those materials which are likely to be sold on our Amazon website. Most of our selection is priced from $15 up to hundreds of dollars. Volunteers describe each piece thoroughly, so customers know exactly what to expect. Believing in the philosophy of under-promising and over-delivering has enabled Memphis Friends of the Library, known as MEMFAL, to maintain the highest Amazon rating for customer satisfaction, 5 stars. MEMFAL inventory stays above 18,000 pieces, valued at Alchemy. But wait, that's only about $200,000. Where does the other $200,000 come from? Cost avoidance. The collections department of the library has first choice of all of our shelved material. So, as they have to replace titles already in the library inventory, averaging $24 each, they can check Friends inventory first. Here's an example of savings they make every day. Harry Potter books are very popular, and they need to be replaced as they deteriorate. We get dozens of them donated to us each month, and a percentage of them are in excellent condition. Recently, we received 5 different Potter books in pristine condition, immediately taken by the library staff for their inventory, saving $120. And this happens over and over again, often finding books that are not currently in the library collection that staff would like to include. Another example, foreign language dictionaries and Bibles. We get many of these each year in good enough condition to go right into the library collection. And that average replacement price is much higher. Double Alchemy. And all of this is accomplished with 3 great part-time employees and dozens of super volunteers. Now, here's our current president, Jacqueline Wallace, to tell you what we do with the amazing amount of gold generated by free materials.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Wallace, President for the Friends of the Memphis Public Library. Do you know what you can do to help us at the libraries? We need your books, magazines, CDs, DVDs, VHS tapes, even cassettes, sheet music. Any donation of that type that you can bring to the library, we will turn those donations into funds that we use to take care of over 6,000 programs here at the Memphis Public Libraries. We are trying to serve our community. We are all about improving and increasing literacy, and every single donation we receive goes towards helping the library be a better place where we can bring you more programs, more events. And the Friends of the Library, we are a group inside of the library, and our job is to raise monies for the library, and we do that through your donations. This room that I'm in, it's called the sorting room. We have over 200,000 donations that people have brought, wonderful donations. In fact, we just received a collection of books from Patrick O'Brien. There are actually 20 of them. Whoever donated this donated actually 16, and we are thrilled to have this. We need your donations. I know you have many donations in your closets, on the floor, you're ready to get rid of them. Please just come to any branch, open your trunk, and the men here at the dock here at Central, we will take them out. You will get a tax receipt for your donation and a wonderful letter of gratitude from the Executive Director, Keenan LaCloy. And as our logo for the library goes, start here. We need you to start here at this branch. Please bring us your donations. We are in desperate need of your donations and your help. Thank you.
Friends of the Library helps to raise money for all 18 Memphis Public Library locations, their programs, and services. Donate as a one-time monthly or yearly contribution to help us continue to serve the approximately 2 million customers who enter Memphis Public Libraries annually.
So everything is Memphis.
You're watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.